What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Chase, and this is Cut to the Chase. With me, Chase, and the director of The Last of Us Season 2, Craig Mazin, is calling Season 2 a disaster. It was a flop. Mistakes were made. Now, this is big, because Craig Mazin is no stranger to Hollywood. He's been in major hallmarks of cinema, such as Scary Movie 3, Scary Movie 4, superhero movie. What I'm trying to say is he has a rich pedigree to showcase his talent. So when he says, we effed up on The Last of Us Season 2, we know he's talking from a place of high quality content. FYI, I actually like superhero movie. It's actually pretty good. If you haven't watched it, I'd go watch it. So let's cut to the chase. When he says, we effed up on Season 2, is that quote taken out of context, or is it exactly what you think it means? So I'm reading this from Screen Rant, but it originally comes from an interview he did with Variety. So let's just jump right into his quote. It's the best part. There's this thing that happens when you're making the first season of something where you truly are just rolling down a hill on fire. I can understand what he's saying there, but here's the thing with the first game, The Last of Us, it was a huge success. A monkey could adapt that game into a movie and it would do numbers. Actually, I think it might do bigger numbers. So anyway, let's continue. If you stay alive, that's a huge achievement. If a show comes out, that's amazing. Mazin said. The second season comes with so many expectations, and we did learn a lot of lessons. I'm wondering what those lessons were, because he doesn't really describe what those lessons were. And the problem with learning lessons is then you have to be accountable to those lessons. Is that a problem? If I learn a lesson, is it a problem then from that point forward, like, got to be accountable to that lesson. Dang it. It's a weird perspective to have, I guess. If you learn a lesson, like, dang it, now I have to be accountable. And he continues, and you're not allowed to make those mistakes anymore, which is tragic. Again, I feel like if you learn from mistakes, that you shouldn't make those mistakes again. I don't feel like that's a tragedy. I feel like that's a good thing. I feel like he has the wrong perspective on this. You do feel pressure to somehow fulfill what people want, but also surprise them. Okay, I get that. That's fine. You're now a topic of discussion, whereas before you were just new and surprising. I got a chart here. I'm going to illustrate something with this. All right. I mean, the bar for video game adaptations was pretty low. I don't think it was that low. Jose, what would you say is the first video game adaptation that really just set the bar? Street Fighter? I would agree.
Game over!
Cinema right there. Okay. But on a serious note, I think, Sonic 3? Or not Sonic 3. It was Sonic the Hedgehog had just come out. And that was like huge numbers. There's been other video game adaptations that have done very well. And I am in the minority on this. But I also like the Resident Evil movies. I know they are so far off base from what the video game is. But there's a soft spot in there for me. So to finish out his thing, we had that going for us in season 1, and now we kind of effed ourselves. So basically what he's saying is we raised the bar so high for season 1. We did so well. Just the biggest pat on the back for yourself. It was impossible for us to be able to do that again. And this is why I have this right here. This here, I'm going to illustrate what Craig Mazin does not understand. Craig Mazin doesn't understand that he basically was blindfolded when he made season 1, and he fell into success ass backwards. He doesn't realize He had nothing to do with the success of season 1. And I'll explain. Now I got this here. All right. So this part 1 is The Last of Us Part 1 video game. Okay. As you can see, it's all green. Literally a beautiful, perfect story. Everybody loves it. It's hailed as one of the greatest games of all time because it is so good. And it was, for the most part, a kind of faithful adaptation. But this right here, this is Craig. He is red, okay? His views that he interjects are going to be in red. So we come to the first season. And he puts some stuff in that's just not koshered, okay? It's 8 episodes, and one episode, a whole episode, an eighth of your season is given over to a gay love story. What was it? Frank and Bill? I can't remember their names. But just given over to that. And then there's some other things that are peppered in. He interjects his stuff into what is otherwise a great story. And it is not enough to ruin that story. In his head, he's like, wow, I really amped up the story with what I did. And he doesn't realize that despite his efforts to destroy the story, it still remained successful. He doesn't understand that. So we go to part 2 of the video game series. And it is a terrible game. Absolutely just awful. Just miserable, awful. They kill Joel. It's a train wreck of a video game. Everybody hates it. There's a few weirdos out there who like it. Good for them. They have the right to like something that sucks. But for the most part, everybody hates it. Nobody likes it. And everybody who played the game, or at least knew about the game, they knew when season 2 of the show got to this part, it was going to fall off the rails. Because the video game version used all of Craig Mazin, what he would do, and what he put in here. The video game did everything that Craig Mazin would have normally done. So Craig Mazin, he approached it with his creativity, putting it in. And I'm not just blaming him. Okay, this also goes for the writers and everybody else that was involved. Neil Druckmann, looking at you. Okay, they came in. They added their things. They don't realize that they're putting their junk into what is already junk. And so they're making something that nobody likes, and they're making it even worse. Okay, because we get stuff like this.
I'm gonna be a dad. Yeah.
And other nonsense that's in that season. But to Craig Mazin and the others involved, these two things, they're the same picture. Because to them, they just went and did the same thing, and they don't understand what happened. Because the last time you had a great story to kind of lift it, and this time you just didn't. And don't get me wrong, I'm all for faithful adaptations, but if you're going to take on a project where in the other medium it was universally hated, you probably should do some changes, such as don't kill Joel. Probably shouldn't do that. That was the biggest thing people hated, along with Abby. They hated Abby. And don't add things like this.
I'm gonna be a dad.
So in the end, does it look like they learned their lesson? No, not at all. And they're going into season 3 not at all realizing what the actual cause of the failure is. So all I can say is good luck to you. And that's something that I love about Walking Dead. When I started watching Walking Dead, I hadn't read the comics. Because I watched Walking Dead, it got me interested to read the comics, and I did. And I gotta say, and it's not because I watched the show first, the show is better. The show falls off about season 8, I would say the show falls off, but the show is very good, and it really just boosts the comics. It veers a lot of different ways from the comics, and for good reason, because it creates a much better story that's in the show than what's in the comics. But I will say this: if you are looking for a good zombie show, there's one that just dropped. I've only seen the first episode. The first episode, I think the second episode's coming out soon. It's called Revival. Okay. Now this, I actually did read the comic book series on, and it's really good. It's like Fargo meets zombies. It's like that kind of situation, but they're not really zombies. It's a whole spiel. But tune into that. Go watch that. I think that's going to turn out to be pretty good. Revival. So anyways, guys, I'd love to know what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments below. Do you think that The Last of Us Season 3 has some saving grace, that it could potentially be good? I don't. I think they're just going to keep driving themselves further into the ground, not understanding why. But if you like this video, please go down and like it. If you have not yet already, okay, and that subscribe button hasn't been clicked, click that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications, and as always, guys, peace out.